It caught me with my proverbial pants down. I was looking for my PowerPoint. We will find that when it's appropriate. Hey, everybody, Capt Ron here with my alternate ego, Captain Eric, and our first officer, Dwight, Dieter Staudinger, and my brain never works exactly right. So anyway, glad to be with you. This is our weekly show that attends to your fear of flying. If you have one, it tends to fear of flying for people you might know who have a fear of flying, or for people who just like talking about aviation. And we're glad to be back with you. It's we got we think a good show lined up here. We're going to talk a little bit about an industry news article that came out, a specific question from a client that is currently traveling in Europe, and she has a related question. And then we'll have some highlights, some contributions, and Dieter will have some comments from the Birds of a Feather group there, and Eric, no telling what story Eric will bring to us tonight. So
I don't even know.
Yeah, there we go. So let's get underway. The first challenge is me
keeping it fresh.
My screen, and we'll do that. I'm going to share that, and I gotta find the. Oh, why does it always disappear? Bear with me, folks.
Well, I'm gonna just start, and I'm gonna say, if you haven't joined our Birds of a Feather Facebook group, now is a great time, because we just surpassed 1,400 members in the Birds of a Feather group. More importantly, though, we have a really supportive and nurturing community there, and I really want to give a shout out to Angie Lewis. Thanks so much for posting your pictures and your videos, and congratulations for your accomplishment. And I believe, Ron, you will
Angie and I are going to talk. She's got a flight coming up to Europe with her son, who is studying. He's in the throes of becoming an airline pilot. Eric, you may remember we talked to him one day about the Aviation programs here that we knew about in Phoenix, and so his name is Gavin. And matter of fact, I'm going to talk to both of them tomorrow, so I'm really excited about that. And she's just doing a little fine tuning before she launches out on a Europe trip herself. I mentioned I do have another client in Europe right now, and she asked me a question, which definitely is worthy of mentioning there. And Eric's going to use his vast overwater international ETOPS experiences to help make more sense of that for us. So, okay. Dieter just mentioned the Birds of a Feather group. If you haven't joined, why not? I can't believe you haven't joined. It's free, and you really should consider that. And so here's what I want to put in a pitch for the 15-minute. We're going to talk about the 301 classes that are coming up in October 21st in LA and October 28th in Phoenix. Again, if you haven't signed up for that, why not? You really should. This is the best thing we've got going here. Nobody does this. Nobody flies with people like this, and we really got a lot of people in LA that I'm working with right now. A lot of them are indicating an interest, but you want to get over there and get your tickets. Okay, free 15-minute coaching. I had several people take advantage of this in this past week, and I want to encourage everybody out there. Again, if you haven't done this and you got nothing else and you're just stuck there, give me a call. Set it up for free. Okay, we're gonna a little news report from somebody that I flew with a week ago Saturday in VIP coaching. After 40 plus years, he got into the air again. He and I flew together. Gonna show a little video we put together of that. Yeah, any of your questions, always, if you're watching this live or watching the replay, please feel free to leave a comment down there. Your participation is always welcome, and we love it when you do. And like I said, if you got any questions, let us know. 201 online class, we'll make a little pitch for that again, in Fearless Flyer Club and VIP coaching. We'll touch on those. So, all right, and away we go. You may recall that this is just the flight path that we're going to take from Burbank to Sacramento on October 21st. Eric and Diane are going to accompany us. I think Dieter's planning on being there. Should have a lot of fun. And the big news on that is we will have the facilities at Air Hollywood. They've moved from their old site up to Valencia, California, just north of Burbank, and we're going to use their facilities for the live pre-flight that evening. And you can join us if you're enrolled in the class, and you can make it up there that night. You live in the LA area, or if you can't make it that night live, we will be live streaming it. And because of that, we will be offering it to people anywhere in the world who want to participate in that. We got a couple people signed up for that who just want to watch it and go through the process. Hey, if you never fly with us, it's a great opportunity. You can have it for your future, just to look at what you go through. What are the steps you go through to kind of get you up to speed for that. So this is 301. There's the link at the bottom. Yeah, you really need to fly, because it's come to my attention slowly but surely that when people have a fear of flying, they don't just look at those destinations and in awe, and the white sands beaches, the vacations, the European trips and things like that. For them, it got an obscuration before that, and it's the fact that it inspires feeling miserable. And we understand that. We've been with people for 35 years, helping people. So please take a look, sign up for a 15-minute coaching session, whatever it takes to get you moving forward. 90% of the people who are afraid to fly never get past that. It's senseless, because you'll hear when in the little video with my VIP coaching student from last week, the first remarks that he made when we were debriefing, he said, "I can't believe I waited this long." And that is the most often uttered expression for people. Okay, so here we go. We'll put him up there, and I'm going to ask Dieter to share the screen and put the video up there, and we're going to share that with you. It's just a little thing we put together with a few of the clips I was able to take that day, and I got a great editor named Scott who helps me out there. Start another fearless flyer.
Beautiful flight. All the tools work fantastic and just like they're supposed to.
Here we are in our favorite spot of the day, Sacramento. So good job.
Thank you. I'll tell you what I have to tell you. The training.
Yeah.
Everything that it anticipated what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you being there along is just saying,
sure,
this is what is going to happen. And
yeah.
That really calmed me down, and I just enjoy the flight.
Yeah.
I mean,
you look like it.
I can't wait till I get back up in the air in a couple hours. But the last couple of weeks you really calmed me down.
Yeah.
Your positive attitude rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
I could feel it. The energy.
Charlie and Capt Ron, we went to where did we go?
Sacramento
and back. Fortunately, he's got a better memory than I do. So how would you describe today? What did we do?
Got on the plane, took some exercises, watched a movie, got there quicker than I thought we would. Time just flew by. Had a nice meal in Sacramento, got on the plane, came back, hit a little bit of turbulence, but a little bit of breathing treatments.
Yeah, just sure.
Did the breathing, and watch and just relaxed. And looked at Captain Ron, who was snoring away, and I thought, it can't be that bad if this guy's sleeping through this. So
That's another star performance by him and another typical performance by me.
fantastic flight.
But again, the thing is, when you came here a little anxious this morning,
Yes,
right?
I was anxious coming here, yes.
And you got it in the airplane, and within like 10, 15 minutes, it was like calming down.
Yeah,
And then when we got up there, by the time we got there, you were bored.
yeah, there wasn't much to do, so I had to put on a movie.
Yeah. And of course, you had only not flown in the last, how many?
About 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah.
So anyway,
It's been a long time.
it's a joy to fly with people like Charlie here, and you can do it too. So thanks,
If I can do it anybody, I'm Chicken Charlie is what they call me.
I don't think so.
Awesome. I can't tell you how much fun that is, working with people like that. And Eric and Dieter and Diane have all shared that with me. It's just really infectious when you see people having that kind of joy. And let me get the slides back up here.
And I will say, you get great attention at our flight class on October 21st in Los Angeles, because just like Captain Ron said, Captain Eric will be there, flight attendant Diane, and myself as well. And if you do want to fly with us, get your tickets sooner rather than later, because they will go up in price, and right now they're still really cheap. So please sign up, and we'll all be waiting for you in Air Hollywood.
All the tools work, Charlie said, just like they're supposed to. He actually used the word fantastic in there. I didn't bother with that superlative, but anyway. So there's his link. It'll be in the notes, and we hope you can make it, because the strength of the group, the power of the group is the best part about flying together like that. And it'll change your life for sure. So, okay. Is a incident or an article in the news, New York Times, where I got the substance, a lot of the substance of this, and then I added, Eric and I added our own wisdom to talking about it in a way. It's their title was Investigating Pilots with Hidden Health Issues, which sounds really ominous if you're a fearful flyer, because you have some basic trust that you rely on. So what happened was they found that this was an issue with pilot medical records, and it came to light because there were some discrepancies between the FAA's official medical records versus the Veterans Administration records. And the FAA official medical records are for FAA licensing purposes and certification, and the VA is often relevant to any veteran, of course, and they administer disabilities. And when it comes to pilots who were in the military, which is about a third of the pilots out there, according to this article, have military backgrounds. And it used to be higher than that when Eric and I were flying, but old people like me who had military backgrounds retired, and the military has trained fewer pilots in recent years. And the overview of the problem here, there's different reporting procedures. There's discrepancies between, it turns out, between disability reporting and the requirements to the VA, that is, and requirements on FAA medical exam. And this disclosed or uncovered a failure of some pilots to report. And then on the side of the governing agencies, the VA and the FAA, they weren't properly cross-referencing those. It's about 5,000 pilots that are under review here. And geez, I was trying to think, how many in the US are 80, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 US?
Oh, I would think over 100 by now, Ron.
Yeah, I suppose.
Gotta be over 100 by now.
Okay, so to give you some, so we're talking about maybe 5%, maybe at a max 10%, maybe. And the issue is suspected of falsifying medical records to hide health issues. And many pilots were of this group were active commercial airline pilots. And we'll bring that into perspective here in just a minute. Who were they? Well, like I said, military veterans, claiming healthy enough to fly, but receiving veterans benefits for disabilities. So there's an incongruence there, incompatibility, a difference that came to light. And of course, when somebody who's non-aviation background, like the New York Times uncovers that, they want to know what's the difference here, what's the deal, okay? And let's see, VA cross-referenced the federal database. So there's a database for the veterans, and in particularly disabled veterans, and further in particular, pilots who are active pilots who are in the VA receiving disability. The FAA actually discovered this over 2 years ago. They kept it hidden from the public, which never is a good thing, especially when you find out that they did. And it's currently undergoing review. So that's pretty much the bad news. Okay. Now, Eric and I are going to try to make a little bit of lemonade out of this for you and remove it from one of those things that you can add to your list of worries. And we're going to take it off there. So there's some vulnerabilities in the FAA's medical screening system, and it relies upon, the FAA relies upon self-reporting. So Eric, I'm just going to invite you in here. So what do we report to the FAA as far as when we do tell us a little bit about the medical exams and how they work.
So we have a medical exam every 1 year or every 6 months, depending on your age and position at the airline and what your airline requires. But as Ron mentioned, many of the things that you report on the medical form are self-reporting. They are favorite line in front of the box of conditions. Do you now or have you ever? And you go through there and check off conditions if you had surgeries or treatment for X or anything else. And if you check a yes, then you have to explain that and have supporting medical paperwork. And if you check no, you do not need that. And one of the boxes says, are you or have you ever received disability benefits for any reason? So what's happening here is guys have checked no there, when in fact they did present a case to the VA where they're not able to fly, or they've got PTSD or anxiety or something like that, so they're receiving benefits. Now, the upside of this, as Ron says, we're going to make some lemonade out of this, is that these guys were able to meet the standards of their medical certificate and able to pass medicals and fly, but they did not tell the truth about what they're doing with the VA receiving benefits. In the sense, it was fraud. They're double dipping. They're receiving benefits when they are medically able to fly. And I don't remember what the article said, but the number of those 5,000 under investigation that are not meeting the standards of a medical certificate are very few. The investigation is because the pilots are claiming one thing with the VA and another thing with the FAA.
Yeah. So and let me put that slide back up here. I gotta just get it back up. So we're talking about the implications here. So Eric, as Eric mentioned, it relies on self-reporting, and there was a similar issue in the past where there was a discrepancy between if pilots had DUIs, it was not being reported through the system, and the powers to be deemed that would be relevant information in mental health counseling, all that. So they included that. God, now what's that, 25, 30 years ago now, Eric?
Yeah, there's a box directly related to that saying we will search driver's licenses database to make sure you're telling us the truth about that stuff.
So it turns out there are 600 pilots of those 5,000 who have identified that they are working for United, American, Delta, the passenger carrying airlines out there for on which you would buy a ticket. The remainder are working for cargo airlines, corporate aviation, and tour companies, things like that. So you're not likely to have been affected. And I don't want to minimize this, but I'll land some perspective here in a minute. Again, and so the remedy right now is that they order them to the people, the 600, they've ordered them to stop flying, and in probably many cases they're going to order them to correct their records and undergo new health exams, and that's the administrative side. There may be some criminal penalties potentially out of that. I have not read anything about that, so it's probably not my place to say that, but it does involve that. And here's the essence of it. It's a conflict between pilots' careers and disability benefits. You can't have it both ways. And all you and I we all understand that. You can't minimize the health issues to the FAA and then exaggerate them in order to collect VA benefits. It's kind of akin to some people being accused of inflating the value of their real estate when they're going to get a loan, and yet minimizing the value when it comes to reporting it to taxing authorities so that to reduce their taxes. So it's human behavior at its worst, and I wish we could get rid of it. But the one thing you can count on, because it's related to aviation, we'll put the hammer down, and it will be rectified. The unfortunate thing, obviously, is it does affect public trust, and no one's more crushed about that than us at Fearless Flight here, because you don't need any more trust broken than is absolutely necessary there. But like I said, as in many cases, once the problem comes to light, along with the need for improvement, they'll find a resolution. And because pilot health is really important for safe aviation. If you got any comments on that, we'd love to hear them. And if we hit any triggers there, we'd like to try to put those back in order before we move on here too far. I mentioned I do have a question, and if you have any questions or out there, Eric or Dieter, let me know. Okay. So here was a question that came in from Mary. She lives in Atlanta. She's over in Europe, and this was an actual flight she took from the flight progress video off of the seat back in front of her. And she said, "Hey, Capt Ron, having fun and thinking about her flight." She's in the UK. She's going to go from over to Rome and on to Atlanta. And when she was on her way over, you can tell, man, she's really been paying attention. She's sucked up all the information we've been getting her. And she said, when I looked at this flight path, you said that we tend to go up way over, and I don't know if you can see my pointer there, but you told me we tend to go up here where we're kind of up there around Canada, Newfoundland, Iceland, over there. But look at our flight path. We went right across the middle of the Atlantic, and so. I point out a couple of things to her, namely she's coming out of Atlanta instead of New York, and talked about the routes there. Eric, you want to add anything to this? But because you got more experience in international than I do.
Yeah, just a couple of points, and you brought them up when we were quote unquote warming up. So going across the Atlantic, when we go to Hawaii across the Pacific, the tracks that we fly on are fixed on a chart, and there's multiple tracks to choose from for the dispatcher to choose from. And every 24 hours, a consortium of air traffic control agencies between Shannon, Ireland, and Reykjavik, Iceland, which they then refer to themselves as Shanwick, like Hollywood would say Benifer, or something like that, or Brangelina. Shanwick builds these tracks, and they build them to favor the airlines with the smoothest rides they can find, avoiding weather, and to maximize performance with the winds. And generally going over to Europe, you're going to have a tailwind, and coming back, you're going to have a headwind. And also in general, the tracks flying across to the east are down there where she shows on her slide. They're a southern tier of a set of 8 or 9 paths in the sky going that way. And coming back, if she had a return slide, it probably would show it arc much more up to the north, up near Iceland, Greenland, and then down over Newfoundland and flying down over the coast of the United States. Generally, the western tracks fly back that way to minimize headwind impact. So that is not an abnormal looking track to me at all for going over eastbound.
Okay, and so is it not true, Eric, that the reason that nowhere else in the world do they build trucks like this, and this is because there's so many stinking airplanes that go between the North American continent and Europe every day,
Yes.
right? It's
Yeah,
like 1,000 plus or something like that. So that's why they build all these tracks and they build them every day. And the other thing is, she asked me, pretty perceptive on her part. She said, "Hey, Ron, I thought you said that we had to be within 120 miles of some kind of land and going across there." She said, "I didn't measure it out, but it looks to me like we're outside of 120 miles." So can you tell everybody what's in that little circle there, Eric?
yeah, you said 120 miles, but you meant 120 minutes.
Minutes, I'm sorry, yeah.
Be able to fly 2 hours in still air on one engine, which they could probably make on this deal, but all the airplanes doing this now are new enough in service that they're also certified to do 180 minutes or 3 hours in still air on one engine. But on this slide, Ron has the Azores circled, which are a usable alternate. And back over here to the left, where you can't even see the island, is Bermuda. So between the East Coast of the United States and Bermuda and the Azores, you can probably make that crossing with a 120-minute flight plan. But if you didn't, you could default to the 180.
Yeah. So again, if you have any questions on that, thanks to Barry for pointing this out, because everybody will benefit from the information there. So we're more than happy to answer your questions there. Again, going to make a quick shout out. Please take a look at the link. If you haven't done it, schedule a free 15-minute coaching call. I love them. They're a lot of fun. It keeps me in touch with just what's going on out there, and it's free, for crying out loud. And it'll help you move on. And a lot of people, they just don't know what's the next step is. I think that's the biggest question that I get asked is, what should I do from this point? Okay. And we got a lot of stuff that you can do. One of them is, and this is growing in popularity, we've started these monthly coaching calls. It started as a formal part of the Clear for Takeoff 201 online course. That is the best long-term solution that you can do. You sign up for the 201 course, you get 2 months of online access to that, and you also get 2 monthly coaching sessions that come with it. Our next coaching session, our next group live coaching session, is Thursday, September 21st. It'll be from 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. We runs for 90 minutes, and we answer your questions. And we always have a visualization relative to the content that we discover that evening or discuss. And in this particular upcoming session on September 21st, we're going to talk about the sky is falling, the impact of negative news on your fear of flying and how to deal with it. Much related to stories like the one tonight. What happens if the pilots are caught cheating out there on their medicals? So, all right. So it'll be interesting, and even more interesting is the fact that we get to deal with your questions, or you guys add a lot of great questions to that. Okay. I touched on the fact our Clear for Takeoff 201 online course. It is the best thing since sliced bread in the long term. And we've got other resources to go along with that. Everything we have, you can access through an app now. So you can have it when you need it, on your schedule, on your time frame, rather than having to wait for some formal class or anything like that. That's one of the biggest things and the most positive things that came out of the pandemic for Fearless Flight. And we really, really encourage you to join the monthly Fearless Flyers Club. Okay. Any comments or anything, Dieter?
Well, I just put all the links to everything that we've mentioned in the chat, and I just want to respond also to Kelly. Kelly had asked if we're still doing live classes in Phoenix, and the answer is yes. We have
holy cow, are we ever? I think I'm approaching 60 people who have signed up. So
that's on September 9th in Phoenix at the airport. Yeah. And I put the link in the chat as well. So yes, we are. And if you want to fly with us, Kelly, from Phoenix, that is on October 28, and just use that 301 link in the chat to register or find out more.
Okay.
So, and Jim mentioned something. He said there's one pilot on TikTok that lost his license because apparently he was seeking therapy after a stint in Afghanistan, and we don't know exactly what the details are of that, because you would hope that somebody seeking therapy is actually interested in a solution.
Right.
But not disclosing that may end up biting you in the ass. Jennifer is asking, are
That's
there
a technical term, biting you in the ass.
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Psychologically, technically. Yes, Jennifer. So we do have 301 flights scheduled on October 21st in Los Angeles, and on October 28th in Phoenix.
Yep.
So, and the link is a little bit further up in the chat, flf.link/301. And that gets you all the information that you need. And if you are interested, I would highly encourage you to sign up sooner rather than later. Because what happens to those flights, Ron?
They go up in price. They know that if you and we recommend using an incognito if you're playing around looking, trying to figure out the flight and all that, use an incognito browser link or window so that they don't track your data, because I've been online looking when I set these classes up, trying to get the best combination, the cheapest flights and all that, and gone out for 30 minutes or an hour, go back in there and they've raised the price on the segments there. So the airlines are in it to make money, no doubt about it. So but the closer you get to the departure date, the more likely they feel you, or the more determined you are to fly. So it's really, really important. I had another thought.
So we do fly from Burbank, by the way, Jennifer. And if you're just tuning in now, this time actually we have on the Friday evening, we're going to be meeting at the new Air Hollywood location. All this detailed stuff will be in the email after you signed up. But on Friday, you can join us either on the live stream if you can't make it live in person, or you can actually join us at the Air Hollywood studios, and that's Valencia, is it? Or what's
Valencia,
the name of-
yeah.
Yeah, Valencia. And so yeah, that's that. And I think I just put the link there again. So looking forward to having you there.
Okay, cool. So we want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. It's our pleasure to do this. And if you have any questions, keep those cards and letters coming. Otherwise, I'm going to thank Dieter. I'm going to thank Eric and all of you out there for joining us tonight. We'll see you again next week for another episode of Fearless Flight Live.